Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I'm sorry for the mood lighting, but it's dark and that's what I'm shooting because it's just after hours. Anyway, anyway, new Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. This is America. Is it a bad song because the lyrics are simple? Because I've heard a lot of complaints just lobbed at the song. Oh, he's kind of repeating a lot of words. Where's like the lyricism? Where are the verses? We just want a party, party just for you. We just want the money, money just for you. I know you want a party, party just for me. This is America. Don't catch you slipping up. Don't catch you slipping up. Look what I'm whipping up. This is America. Don't catch you slipping up. So on and so forth. No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because even with the simplicity and the redundancy of some of these lyrics, Donald is saying a lot with the track. It has more to do with the context of what he's saying, as well as the sound of the music and the transitions, musical transitions throughout the track as well. And the statement on just being black in America that he's making with the music video. Not that that is made entirely in the music video itself. Obviously, a lot of those points come through in just the song. I mean, do you listen to much hip-hop music outside of Childish Gambino or Donald Glover? Because things in hip-hop have been on sort of a trend toward minimalism and a trend toward simplicity lyrically for like about a decade now. And this song is clearly a reflection of Donald Glover embracing that. And I feel almost like there's, I don't know, there's some sort of disconnect going on here, because even as I was commenting on this on Twitter saying, here's a track that has 62 million views. It's Magnolia by Playboy Carti, a track that I like, a track that I put on my best list. And people thought that just because I was making that comparison that I was saying one track is better than the other, that Playboy Carti's track is bad because it's simple. Like, obviously, Donald is just embracing an aesthetic and a style and a prevailing sound, a prevailing minimalism lyrically going on in rap right now. And he's doing it in such a way where, yeah, it's simple. Yeah, it's straightforward. Yeah, it's not super dense lyrically, but he's still making a political statement. He's still making a social commentary with it successfully. It's just like a little bit of a bummer that that's not as apparent as I think I'd like it to be. But I think most people get it. But unfortunately, I think there are some fans that for whatever reason aren't kind of taking to this direction that Donald is going in. And not that I think that every single song on his new record is going to be like this. I mean, that other track that he previewed on SNL, the sort of like funk and disco blend track, was very much not in the vein of this song. I'm sort of waiting for the studio version of that. And maybe there will be more to that track when we hear the studio version of it. But I kind of digress there. Clearly, Donald is making a statement with this track, even with it being as simple as it is. I mean, I don't know if he really needs to kind of beat people over the head with it in order to actually kind of make the statement connect. Even though the lyrics are simple, I wouldn't say this track is devoid of meaning. I would actually say it's full of meaning. Maybe kind of finding that meaning would be more difficult if he wasn't saying this is America and saying police be tripping and so on and so forth. Maybe the meaning would be more difficult if we were in a different time. But, sometimes good art is a product of the period that it's from. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily need to make sense 30 years down the road because that's a different time. That's a different place. Like, this is very much of the right now. Another record that I could think of off the top of my head, and there are lots of albums sort of in this vein, that would come afterwards kind of throughout the punk movement that would also apply here. But, just think of a band like the Stooges. I mean, Iggy Pop conveyed so much about just like the restlessness and the malaise of the youth and the generation he was coming up in on tracks like 1969 and No Fun. And he was a guy who early on in the band's career limited himself to a certain amount of words in a song. Like, there aren't a lot of words to the songs that he's singing here. I mean, if you look at the lyrics to the song No Fun, it's just pretty much, my bit, no fun, no fun to be around. There's barely any words to that track. And think of all the hardcore punk bands that would come through in the 80s and would have like really bold, in your face, aggressive political statements in their tracks. But you look at their lyrics, they're not these giant diatribes and monologues. Clearly Donald's track over here is super hard hitting in terms of the percussion, in terms of the bass, the bright chorus vocals, that very fun kind of very sweet guitar breakdown that transitions us back later into the gurgling bass and the hard-hitting drums and Donald's deadpan vocals that sound super serious and very dark. Clearly, there are some statements being made on this track that are outside of the music video, that are outside super dense verses that can be extrapolated out of it without him just kind of going on and on and on and on and on and on lyrically. I think what he did here was made a pretty hard-hitting track without sort of having to sort of throw too many words, throw too much verbiage at the viewer, at the listener. So, no, I don't think the fact that this song isn't as lyrically complex as maybe other tracks of his, as maybe other tracks about similar topics or other tracks that are socially charged as well, makes it a weaker song, makes it a weaker statement. I think it's great that he's kind of taking these prevailing trends in trap, in pop rap, and kind of reappropriating them for a more political statement, because you don't typically hear social statements over the types of grooves and the type of production that he's landing on this track. Sure, it's a little more eccentric and there's some weirder instrumentation in this mix than you would normally get in, like, I don't know, the new Block Boy mixtape, Block Boy JB, I mean. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So I'm going to leave it at that. And also, shout out to Block Boy JB, who is in this verse over here in this song. He has a pretty nice new mixtape out that I've been meaning to cover. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to leave it at that. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, forever.